She earned enough to be comfortable, not rich, not struggling, just fine. A steady paycheck, a clean apartment, no dramatic debts, no late notices taped to her door. From the outside, her life looked financially calm, controlled, responsible. But every month, something felt wrong. Her bank balance never grew, her stress never left, and no matter how hard she tried to be better with money, she always ended up in the same quiet panic by the end of the month. She told herself it was inflation or bad luck, or that she just needed a higher salary. What she didn't see was the small, invisible habit quietly draining her finances, one she repeated almost every day without thinking. A habit so normal it felt harmless, so familiar it never raised alarms, until the moment it finally broke her sense of security. Before we continue, hit like and subscribe. It helps YouTube recommend this video to people who need it, and it keeps this channel alive. Now, stay with the full story. Her name was Emily Carter, and she was 32 years old. Emily lived in a modest one-bedroom apartment just outside Denver, Colorado, close enough to the city to commute, far enough to feel quiet at night. She worked as a marketing coordinator for a mid-sized tech company, earning about $68,000 a year. On paper, she was doing better than many people her age. Every weekday looked almost the same. She woke up at 6:45 a.m., checked her phone before getting out of bed, and scrolled through emails and headlines while the coffee machine hummed in the kitchen. She liked oat milk, fresh berries, and buying the good coffee beans. Not luxury, just quality. That's how she justified it. Her job wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. She managed campaigns, answered client emails, joined meetings where she mostly listened, and stayed late just enough to look committed. Her paycheck arrived like clockwork every 2 weeks. Emily believed she was responsible with money. She paid her rent on time, she never missed a credit card payment, she didn't gamble, shop recklessly, or buy flashy things. In fact, when friends talked about being broke, she felt quietly confused. She earned more than most of them. She didn't live extravagantly. So why did she always feel like she was one small emergency away from trouble? At night, after work, she often stopped by the grocery store or ordered something quick on her phone. Cooking felt exhausting after long days. A few times a week, she rewarded herself with takeout, a drink with coworkers, or a small online purchase she had saved in her cart. Nothing felt excessive, nothing felt dangerous. Her savings account sat at $1,200, a number that barely moved no matter how many months passed. She told herself she'll start saving seriously once things felt more stable, after the next raise, after the next bonus, after life calmed down. Deep down, Emily felt embarrassed by how little progress she had made. She avoided checking her bank app unless she had to. When she did, she focused only on whether she had enough to cover upcoming bills, not on where the money had gone. As long as nothing bounced, she told herself she was okay. But there was a constant low-level anxiety following her everywhere. At the dentist, at the car mechanic, at random moments late at night when she stared at the ceiling and wondered why financial security felt so far away. She didn't know it yet, but her problem had nothing to do with income. It was hidden inside her daily routine, buried in habits so small they felt invisible. Habits she never questioned because they felt normal, deserved, and harmless. And very soon, something would force Emily to look closely, whether she wanted to or not. The problem didn't arrive loudly. It didn't come as a crisis or a disaster. It crept in quietly, disguised as normal life. Emily's hidden habit was simple. She spent first and hoped there would be money left later. Every day, in small ways, she treated her paycheck like something to react to, not something to control. Coffee on the way to work because she was tired, lunch ordered instead of packed because she was dizzy, a streaming subscription she forgot to cancel, a delivery fee she barely noticed. Each decision felt tiny, each one felt earned. She never sat down and decided where her money should go before spending it.
She just checked her balance, felt relief that it wasn't zero, and kept moving. The breaking point came on a Tuesday afternoon. Emily was at her desk when her phone vibrated, a notification from her bank. She almost ignored it, but something made her open it. Low balance alert. Her stomach tightened. She opened her banking app and stared at the number, $143.72. Rent was due in 5 days, her credit card payment was scheduled for Friday, and her car insurance renewal was coming out automatically the following week. She felt heat rise to her face, even though no one around her knew what was happening. How was this possible? She earned enough. She had just been paid less than 2 weeks ago. There was no big purchase, no emergency, no obvious mistake. That evening, instead of ordering dinner like she usually did, Emily sat at her kitchen table with her laptop open and her bank app pulled up. For the first time in months, she scrolled through her transactions slowly. The truth hit her all at once. $6 here, $12 there, $9.99 subscriptions she didn't remember signing up for, convenience fees, delivery fees, app charges, coffee runs that blended together. None of them mattered alone. Together they were destroying her. She added up just the small stuff from the past month. The total made her stomach drop. It was more than she had put into savings all year. Emily leaned back in her chair and felt something crack inside her. Not panic, but clarity. She realized she had been treating leftover money like a bonus instead of a priority. Saving was something she hoped would happen, not something she decided would happen. Her income wasn't the problem. Her discipline wasn't the problem. Her order of decisions was wrong. That night, she didn't sleep much. She kept replaying the same thought in her head. If I don't change this now, nothing will ever change. This wasn't about one bad month. It was a pattern, a quiet loop she had been stuck in for years. And for the first time, Emily understood something painful but empowering. If small habits could quietly break her finances, then small changes might be able to rebuild them. She just needed a rule strong enough to interrupt the cycle. The rule Emily discovered wasn't new, and it wasn't complicated. It was something people used to talk about all the time, but rarely practiced anymore. Decide what stays before you spend. Emily wrote the sentence at the top of a blank notebook page. She didn't trust herself to keep this in an app. She needed to see it, to touch it, to make it real. For years, her system had been accidental. Spend first, save later, hope nothing went wrong in between. This rule flipped everything. The next morning, before work, she opened her laptop and looked at her paycheck schedule. She calculated exactly how much came in every month after taxes. Not a guess, a number. Then she created 3 simple buckets on paper: needs, emergency, life. Needs were fixed: rent, utilities, insurance, minimum debt payments, groceries. No optimism, no rounding down. Emergency came next. She chose a number that felt uncomfortable but possible: $300 a month. It wasn't impressive, but it was automatic and non-negotiable. Life was whatever remained. That was the money she was allowed to spend without guilt. For the first time, Emily wasn't asking, "Can I afford this?" She was asking, "Which bucket does this come from?" She set up her emergency savings to transfer automatically the morning after every paycheck hit. No reminders, no decisions. The money moved before she could touch it. Then came the harder part, finding the silent leaks. She went through every subscription line by line: streaming services, apps, free trials that weren't free anymore. She canceled anything she hadn't used in the last 30 days. Some were only $8 or $10, but she reminded herself that leaks don't sink a ship all at once. She changed how she handled daily spending, too. Every night before bed, Emily opened her notebook and wrote down what she spent that day. Not to judge herself, just to see. 5 minutes, no skipping. At first, it was uncomfortable. The numbers felt louder on paper. But after a week, something surprising happened. She started pausing before spending. Not because she felt deprived, but because she felt aware. She still bought coffee sometimes. She still ordered takeout on long days. But now it was a choice, not a reflex. The forgotten rule wasn't about restriction. It was about sequence. Saving wasn't a leftover anymore. It was protected first. Emily realized something important. She didn't need more motivation. She needed fewer decisions. By deciding in advance what stayed, she removed the daily battle between comfort now and safety later. The habit that once drained her money had been invisible because it felt normal. Now a new habit was taking its place, quietly, steadily, and without drama. And for the first time in years, Emily felt something unfamiliar but powerful: control.
The change didn't feel dramatic at first. There were no big celebrations, no viral success story moments, just small, steady shifts that slowly rewired how Emily felt about money. The first week, she noticed the silence. No low balance alerts, no sudden anxiety when opening her banking app, no mental math at the grocery store checkout. Her emergency savings moved automatically, just as she had planned. When she checked the account and saw it grow, $300 and $600, she felt a quiet relief she hadn't expected. It wasn't excitement, it was safety. The daily tracking became a ritual. Every night, Emily sat at her kitchen table with her notebook and pen. Some days the page was short, other days it was crowded, but she wrote everything down, not to punish herself, to understand herself. She noticed patterns quickly. Stress days meant delivery apps. Boredom meant scrolling and buying. Social pressure meant spending more than she intended. Once she could see the triggers, she could interrupt them. Instead of ordering food automatically, she kept simple groceries at home. Instead of impulse shopping online, she added items to a 48-hour list. Most of them lost their appeal by the second day. Within 2 months, her savings crossed $2,000. For the first time, Emily felt prepared for small emergencies. When her car needed new tires, she paid for them without using a credit card. The moment was quiet, but deeply emotional. She sat in her car afterward and took a long breath, realizing she hadn't panicked once. She also turned to her debt. Emily had one credit card she'd been carrying for years, always hovering just below uncomfortable. She used a simple snowball approach: minimum payments on everything, extra money toward the smallest balance. Not aggressive, just consistent. Each time a balance dropped, she felt lighter. Her lifestyle didn't shrink, it sharpened. She still enjoyed dinners out, but fewer and more intentional. She still traveled occasionally, but planned for it in advance instead of pretending it didn't cost anything. The biggest transformation wasn't in her accounts, it was in her identity. She stopped seeing herself as someone who was bad with money. She was someone who had been unguarded. Control replaced guilt. Clarity replaced stress. Preparation replaced hope. Emily didn't earn more. She didn't work harder. She didn't deprive herself. She simply stopped letting her money drift. One evening, she opened her savings app and smiled, not because the number was huge, but because it was moving in the right direction, without effort, without force. The hidden habit that once drained her finances had been replaced by something stronger, a system that worked even on bad days. And that changed everything. A year later, Emily's life looked almost the same from the outside. She still lived in the same apartment near Denver. She still worked the same job. She still drank good coffee and had long days that left her tired. But inside, everything was different. Money no longer felt like a constant background threat. It wasn't something she avoided or feared. It was something she understood. Her emergency fund now covered several months of expenses, not because she made a dramatic sacrifice, but because she protected it first, every single paycheck.
The habit had become invisible in the best way. When unexpected costs appeared, they were inconveniences, not disasters. A medical bill, a flight booked on short notice, a slow month at work. None of them shook her sense of stability. Emily had learned that financial peace isn't built in moments of motivation. It's built in the order of your decisions. She thought back to how she used to live, spending automatically, saving accidentally, hoping nothing went wrong. She realized how common that pattern was and how quietly dangerous it could be. The moral became clear, simple, and impossible to forget. If you don't decide where your money goes first, it will decide for you. The hidden habit that almost destroyed her finances wasn't coffee or takeout or subscriptions. It was postponing intention, letting spending happen before protection. Now her system worked even when life didn't. On tired days, on stressful weeks, on months when motivation disappeared. Emily no longer relied on willpower, she relied on structure. One night, sitting at the same kitchen table where she once felt panic, she closed her notebook and looked around. The room felt calmer, not richer, safer. She understood something many people never learn. You don't need to earn more to feel secure. You need to control the leaks and protect the core. Her life hadn't changed because of a raise or a lucky break. It changed because she noticed a habit most people never question and replaced it with one that quietly built freedom. That is how real financial transformation happens. Not loudly, not instantly, but permanently.